Any of they're here,
For school board.
we're live.
I'm sure you guys.
You guys start singing, they'll start watching more.
I don't even know if we've
That's what
got.
they said.
Really?
I think
Not that for notes.
actually they do, because we got.
Now that you have the billboards posted and everything, yeah.
Oh, boy. Well,
It's now 6 o'clock, according to that.
go for it.
That's good, there.
We'll start this meeting. Roll call. Jade is not here, so everyone's here but Jade. Any additions or changes to the agenda?
There'll be a couple of additions, but it's under the miscellaneous, so it's not necessarily anything to vote on.
Okay.
But we're going to discuss precision machining, and then each of you got a curriculum guide as well.
To have a motion to approve the agenda. Move to second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Public comment. Minutes of the 19th of November. Motion to approve those.
Well, if you read
I
over,
read
it,
it.
if you read over, it, you can approve it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will make a motion to approve
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Move to second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Student organizations fundraiser. Mr. McConnell.
Just a follow-up from UPA, you guys approved a fundraiser for them, but we also had a competition here. They had 27 students compete. I want to say there was 160,
it. I was
180,
thinking 172 or something.
172 kids, a lot. There's a lot of
It was
kids
full.
from BPA here, Business Professionals of America, from all of our regional schools up in the northeast region. We had 13 competitors. I kind of did some stats here for Vicki. She had 7 students that finished first or second place. So she had 7 first place finishes and she had 6 second place finishes. So these kids got multiple. I gave you guys a copy of it
On the back
on
of
the
the
back side, so you'll have a copy. You can look at it, see.
Which students' names and what places they got.
Okay.
And then Vicki has asked John too, and on the backside, you'll see a thing that talks about, she gave this to us early. They always take kids to a state competition. We like to let you guys know in advance. This is way in advance, but just letting you know, she'd like to attend the March competition in Indianapolis. That is an overnight competition, but it's within the state, but we try to make sure. I know Peru oftentimes will say if it's overnight, they've got to approve that, but it's a good thing to put in front of your boards as well. So congratulations to Vicki. She puts a lot of time and effort into this. She did a great job hosting everything, and her kids were very successful. And I think she has a group of about 13, I think, that are going to go on to this state competition in March. So do we need approval for that now, or do you want to wait?
I think they should probably go back to their boards and then we can approve in January.
Okay, so maybe something to bring to your boards to approve for them to do an overnight trip in March.
I think a couple of these kids got first place in those up there.
Yeah. Yeah, she had some really good successes. Oftentimes you'll see like the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, that kind of stuff, but to
Yeah.
have that many kids finish first in the competition was pretty great. And they take multiple competitions.
Is that one on the bottom one, Pete?
What's that?
One on the bottom? C plus programming first, but didn't qualify?
Maybe that's just a competition that doesn't go to the state.
Yeah, it could be a local competition. so
Okay, that's fine. I was just curious. I've not seen that before, so.
Yeah, sometimes there's different ones, like there's different tests they'll take, but it may just be a regional test, they may not go on to a state test, so.
Okay.
That's it.
What about mom's drugs?
Yeah, we had that last week.
Okay. That's fine.
And AM class, Cosmo class did it. They hosted it kind of over here, but what they do is they bring in the moms or someone, a female, that they want to bring in, and they do nails and hair and whatever else for them, and have brunch with them and have a good time. And it's kind of a neat thing for the girls to bring them in and do those things. It's early for them as students, so they kind of become test subjects sometimes. For the most part, I think they really do a good job, and Mrs. Gogos is doing a good job getting those girls prepped. So that was last week. Luckily, we had it with weather
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
Rescheduling is not fun with that, so. But it went well. The other things that, no, that's next session, sorry.
I'll ask a quick question.
Yeah.
You had the welding, since you talked about,
Oh, yeah.
how'd that go?
It went really well. They started getting here about, what, 4:30? And it actually took longer than we thought. We thought we'd be done pretty early, but he was probably here till 8:30, 9. So it went quite a ways. The other schools loved being here. They loved how it worked out, and in all honesty, I think 3 of Jack's kids, 1 kid from Jack's class won the competition, and a couple others placed and so forth, and so it was good. It was an interesting competition, to say the least. You know, nothing against the program or FFA or anything like that. We figured we'd be getting kids who knew welding, and we have some kids that came in and never touched a welder. So it was definitely interesting, but overall, it was a good experience. Jack made some connections too with other instructors that are out there with FFA that deal with this, so it was a good experience.
Why do you think they love coming here?
Not a lot of people have the resources that we have here. There's not places, you know, there's some places like this, but I don't know that you'll find many labs that have 20 welders set up to do big TIG and stick. And so it's just a neat experience. You know, these kids, some of these kids in FFA programs are in ag programs who have a shop, but it's 1 welder, and it may or may not get used. And so it's a completely different setting for them to see this as I mean, it's somewhere to be, so, yeah.
There is no, any unfinished business. Miscellaneous is the word.
We're still working on the CLA. I have a meeting set up in January with the guy that's kind of helping us out. We will end up setting up a stakeholders meeting as well to hopefully work through the final process of that to get that done. I really want to have that completed in February so that it gets approval in March, and then we can turn in the grant before spring break. Because this is the start of the permit period, and so we got to go through this whole process. It's a lot of questions that you got to answer, a lot of information and data you got to put into it. The gentleman that's helping us, Ben Carter, has been very helpful. He provides a lot of data from the state for us that helps us out with that information too. So it's been a good deal. He worked with us the first time as well, so it's been working out pretty well. But we're plugging away at that, and hopefully we'll get that done beginning of February, so we turn that in, and know beginning of March and turn in the grant right before spring break. So, Pete, you want to kind of discuss the CDL update?
Sure. We had 33 kids to start. That narrowed down to about 22 kids that were interested. We've now narrowed our list down to 12 students, and we have 4 potential students that might add on as paid customers. Right now, we're reaching out to Driving Dynamics, CTS, to talk to them about would they be willing to add an additional truck, because right now it has to be 4 kids AM, 8 kids PM, the way it's set up. So we're seeing if they would add another AM truck. If that does happen, we've got, I would say 3 solid, but maybe 4 kids that would say they might want to pay their way into it to do it, so that might work out for them. Right now, what we're trying to do, since December 1 was the deadline to commit, now we're trying to work out the AM, PM schedule. We're pretty close. I'm down, I think I had to shuffle a couple kids to get to every kid was PM. So we had to shuffle kids to get to the AM, which is really hard to do because some kids are seniors and they can't switch their schedules with senior schedules. So a couple kids decided they'd go online. 1 kid graciously said, I'll do everything online. Other kids went a little kicking and screaming, but they're there. So hopefully that'll start March 1. February 1's our next deadline. So potentially, 1 of those kids or 2 of those kids may not pay, and then we'll move down the list and try to fill those spots.
So it possibly could be 16?
We're hoping for 16, but we're for certain 12. We're hoping for 16.
So 12 would be subsidized, but 4 would pay the full price?
Yes.
And how much would that be?
$5,000.
Why?
Why would they pay that? Because we don't have money to pay for them.
They didn't, he ranked them based on a specific criteria too. So they were outside of that.
Outside of the criteria.
They weren't outside of it, but they didn't rank as high.
They weren't one of the top schools.
Yes.
We put all 22 kids in, we looked at their GPAs, we looked at their current grades in their class, we looked at their attendance this year and last year. We looked at which program they're in, so if they got higher points if they were in a program that was a qualifying program, like transportation programs over, but if they were in like a welding program, they got less points for that because that's not really a CDL type program that the state would look at. And then we just put it in there and it spits out a number and tells me which kids rank higher. To be honest with you, GPA and attendance were the final factors that oftentimes put a kid in or out. We've got one kid, one of the kids that's interested is a Huntington kid, their last student's in. You guys have priority over that, any kid that's in our member schools has priority over a Huntington kid. So that would be one reason he would pay is because there's not an open spot, he would definitely pay for that spot. And then the other kids, it's just, the Perkins funding allows for so much, that's all we have. We committed to 12 and we want to make sure that follows through. And then these kids are welcome. I think one of the schools might even help assist. So some of your schools might.
And they have in the past.
Yeah, and so some of your schools might jump in and go, okay, well, we'll pay for half of that for the kid, and then so the fee could come down for the kid, but that would be your school paying the other portion or whatever that might be. So. And we'll give you a list probably beginning of January so you can see kind of who we are for sure. I just want to make sure that list is solid before I start putting it out. We're pretty close. I mean, I've talked to all the families, all the kids. We should be good to go, so.
John, do you want to talk about precision machining?
Yeah, I'm just gonna pass this around. I can't tell you exactly what it is, but I'm gonna pass it around. And ask Jason what it was, but I'm gonna read the email he gave me. There was a gentleman that was going through here and I had talked to him and then I found out this information a little later. It says earlier this year, this is from Mr. Schlatter. Earlier this year, I arranged to have one of the owners of CJB Solutions in South Whitley come in and talk to our students. It was to discuss the job opportunities, educational focus, and do a CNC demonstration. A couple weeks ago, I was talking to one of the owners and learned that they were adding a new wire EDM to their facility, and it was going to cause a delay on an important production shipment. So I asked if they would be interested in providing some of the consumables and allow our students, since we have a wire back here, to run that production during that production gap. They were surprised and grateful for the opportunity and provided me with the following. So he says his students, and I'll put up a picture too, his students have the ability to set up the machine with the fixturing that you see here. They program the features, which they had to change. They had some of the lines of program, and they had to change some of the lines out to do it, but they had to write some of that programming. And then they loaded and unloaded the parts, and then they also have to go through SPC and do statistical process control and check it for no and go and no-go gauges that you'll see there. Those pins are to go into that slot. So the pieces beside Mr. Beatty over there, that little narrow piece was cut out of the center of that with the wire EDM. So really that everything they've got coming in are the pieces with the exception of that little slot piece. But that's what our students are setting up and running. And then they're taking them out and using them for their production run. So he said at the end, he said, while this process is simple, it's a great opportunity for our students to experience real world production and manufacturing, and that had stringent criteria and they needed to be completed in a real time. The other owner has dropped them off and picked them up as part, and was really complimentary at the Career Center and its importance to the development of our future workforce. CJB Solutions will be coming back into the classroom after winter break for another demonstration and has been added to one of his list of partners, and one of the owners is now a member of his advisory committee. I just thought it's a cool conversation. I know, Matt, you were on when Dave Turflinger really pinned us down and said we need to do things that are real. This is a real opportunity for our students. They're creating part of that production and they're getting life skills.
And you don't know what it is.
I think it's
It's a metal gizmo.
I think it's a handle for it appears to be a handle for potentially for orthopedics, but I'm not positive of that.
So did the students actually visit the
They have not, but that's probably a conversation. Sometimes to get our students out for a full day, because to go to South Whitley, we'd almost have to do a full day.
Yeah.
It's a little tougher. Actually, Mr. Beatty, what I'm trying to do is, I'm not sure if you want to send a picture yet.
I'm not sending you.
Okay.
I'm Googling this.
Okay, so,
I'm not smart.
yeah, I'm not positive, that would be my guess, knowing South Whitley and the orthopedics, but I don't know. Yeah, we're gonna try to get some publicity out about this, but he said I gotta be real guarded on what we're sending out, because obviously it's a
Right.
production piece. But we wanna obviously highlight them, highlight our students, and show that process off a little bit. So what'd you find, Mr. Beatty?
Google doesn't know either.
What?
Well, darn it.
So again, CJB is bringing materials here, the students are,
They're part of the
Creating
process.
products, yeah.
you know,
And it really comes down to their wire EDM is not in place yet, and they need a wire to cut that slot cleanly. And so that's what our kids are cutting that slot out.
how many students would you say?
There are, what, 32 in that class?
I think there's no more than that in there.
Yeah, 36.
Yeah, 36 between the two sections.
Students. How do you get around not paying these kids for this kind of work?
Well,
They have to have work-based learning hours
yes.
for the state, so.
But on the other side, we do this a lot, like in Jack Dolly's class, I put up some things on, he's doing boxes for alloys that they are constructing the entire skid box. It's an all-fall box that has pockets underneath for the forklift, and it's probably a 5x5 by 4 foot box that are ribbed, and so they can drop all-fall in and move it and haul it away, and they painted them too, so.
You pay the students?
No,
Hey,
they don't
hey,
pay
hey,
it.
hey,
Hey,
You don't get
hey.
Another problem. No, we do a lot of things like that they're not getting paid, but they're getting those on-the-job skills for.
So what is the direct connection? A student goes through this program and learns some of the skill set. Not everybody's gonna wanna do that.
Right.
Can they go on, I assume be some type of tool and die training to do that? Do they get that here?
Yep. See, this may end up being an internship spot for us. We have kids at Incipio, we have kids at, we've had kids at Zimmer, we've got kids at Advanced Engineering over in Huntington.
He's got the owner on his advisory board.
Well,
And that's the key.
MPI from your
So the
vote.
owner sits on this advisory board, and what those people do is they kind of talk to us about, okay, how do we get kids internships? What kind of equipment do we need? What kind of soft skills does a kid need? They're providing consumables that we can use, that we're not buying. They're giving them to us,
Right.
to work for them. Yes, they make a profit off of it, but the take back is like, our kids are interacting with the higher ups in their business, and, there's a lot of
and
pluses from our
oftentimes,
side.
we get tooling that's donated, that's overrun, that we don't have, like, he's getting wire to run that material. That's wire that he doesn't have to go out and buy. And they'll usually give you lots more wire than just.
Well, and you guys have this down, but that's the thing, you can, the advisory board is fine, tell them they don't even have to come to any meetings, just
Yeah.
when
You can't do
need
that.
advice or help or whatever, you have people.
Yeah.
You'd be amazed how many times they'll stop in and go, we have additional wire, or we have additional things, we were thinking of you guys because you've helped us. And they'll just drop stuff off,
Right. And they're looking for good
Oh, yeah.
people to work.
Well, and Micropulse has been really good to us too. And Micropulse has given us a whole lot of textbooks last year. They set us up some heads for machines, because Jason came in, he's like, I need this, this, and this, and Micropulse had some people come in and
Yeah.
they got
And they've written that off. They
it.
appreciate
But they're
that.
also recruiting their kids too, and they know us, and as they should be. That's what we want to be doing.
If you can get our best kid up there, or best kids up there, it pays off for them to throw a couple parts our way and let us try it.
Plus, when they walk in, they've already had that experience, and then they gotta run it for them. They've already had that experience, so.
They already know what it is.
Exactly, right. Yeah, they know what it is, exactly what it is. I'll find out and let you guys know.
That's good, that's exciting.
Yeah,
That's exciting.
The other thing is, you guys all have one of these in front of you. This is the new curriculum guide for next year's. This is your, has the guidance counselors got this yet? Guidance counselors got this. Superintendents have not really got it because we have not having a meeting next month, so we'll have one next month. And so they will get it then. But this basically covers all of our programs within Harlan Career Center. And so all the information, so if you would open up, just, it doesn't matter which one you open to, but you open up to one of them, for example, this is ABC Construction, both pages are of that program. And so it talks about what they offer, what the courses are in year one, your principals, core A, core B, dual credits, certifications they can earn through that, and so forth. And so everything's in here. It also has information about enrollments and stuff in the back about the number of kids per program and so forth for the schools, so you kind of see what that is as well. And that's just determined on enrollment and the percentages per school, and that's how those are broken down. So this is for you. If you have questions about it, let us know. This is Pete's baby that he did.
Very good.
So,
Want a part-time job after you retire?
I don't know yet. I haven't even thought through the retirement.
I really like the binding.
The binding is really good. So just, they're making fun of me. Because
It is nice.
don't go too far. I don't like it.
It's nicer than the other one with the
spiral
with the spiral bound.
He told me when, okay, so obviously I was gone because my father passed away. And so he's texted me.
I think you were in Connecticut.
Was this the Connecticut one?
Yeah, this was-
Well, I hadn't been done, I had been done with the counselors, he approved it, they printed it all off, he said, don't worry about it, we'll take care of it, and I go, I don't want it stapled, I want it bound, because it's a professional document, it's going out to your folks, I want it bound. He's like, that takes so much time, and I'm like, I want it bound. So we have this thing that we bind it. He sends me a picture of, hey, we got them all done, and it's stapled.
Oh.
And I'm like, I'm looking at my wife and I'm like, I'm gonna kill him. And then he sent me the picture with the really nice little things, and I'm like, you got those cheap things that you just slide the thing on?
Yeah.
But they're nicer when I originally thought, because when I originally thought I was gonna come back and resign on the spot. But It also, one thing I would say about the curriculum guide that's maybe helpful, the question we always get back is how do people get spots? And so you'll see in there, you have a certain number of sophomores and juniors in your program. He gives me the budget numbers and the different, like how all that fits up in, I don't even know the page number, I don't have it in front of me. But it tells you the breakdown of how many sophomores and juniors you have compared to other schools, and it tells you then a percentage of that. That percentage is used in each classroom to decide how many spots does a kid get in that particular class. So if you have 19% of the spots, you get 19% of the slots in the classes. If you have 25, you get 25% of the slots. That's how it works. And then it comes down to whether your guidance counselors fill those or not. And at some point, we put a cutoff and say, if you're not going to fill them now, we've got to fill them. And so then that percent would end, and then we just start filling spots that we need to fill.
So how do the guidance counselors do with that overall?
80% of the meeting goes really well. Sometimes we fight, sometimes my job becomes facilitator at that point. Because there are some programs like welding, if you get a welding kid, it will overfill. And I have to kind of use judgment about how many kids could I put in there. We try to cap it at 40, but I might get 42, and so do I take 42? And so then they negotiate with each other and try to wrestle spots, and at some point I just gotta say, that's enough, we gotta stop here. They're pretty good about working with each other. Every school wants as many spots as they can get, especially those really.
Like Cosmo, they're looking at this, limited to 20 kids.
Yeah.
Because the kids that are second year kids are already in, you can't change them. And so that, and then construction with Mr. Hoover, it's roughly 28, 30 spots, that's it. You don't get any more.
I filled the 30, but it's really 28.
Yeah.
And they get mad if I go to 32, and I'm like, I can't, we can only put 28 on buses, 14 and 14. So, but ABC is gonna help with that, because
Yep.
ABC, we just overfill, so now we have that ahead of time, whoever goes up and over that number, we'll put them over toward ABC, and then they can decide how to shuffle those kids, but.
So
that
that's
helps.
a high demand
Yeah.
program.
Construction has always been a high demand program. We used to have 2 programs. It got to the point where it wasn't high enough to keep both programs going. And so at some point, a decision had to be made to say, let's cut back to 1 program. we had a staff person leave, so it was an easy decision to make. But I think every year we wrestle to get those spots, and so ABC will fill that gap and probably even more. We'll get a lot of kids going in there, so that'll be good.
New business, financial reports, Mr. Conrad.
Okay, so we're talking about the month of November 2025. The Heartland Career Center's funds reconciliation, this is funds on hand in the accounting system on November 1st. The balance started out as $1,696,199.80. During the month, there were receipts in the amount of $280,548.42 and disbursements totaling $308,492.02, leaving a month ending balance on November 30th in the financial system, $1,668,256.20. The depository reconciliation, total funds on deposit at Crossroads Bank on November 1st was $1,699,708.50. Cleared deposits and credits in the amount of $280,548.42. And cleared checks and other debits amounting to $309,327.34 for a month ending balance at Crossroads on November 30th. $1,670,929.58. At the end of the month, the corporation account, there were 10 outstanding checks totaling $2,673.38. Then moving on to the ECA account, on 11/1 and November 1st, the depository balance was $109,077.07. During the month, deposits and credits in the amount of $9,242.11. Checks and other debits totaling $3,741.06 for a month. ECA account at Crossroads in the amount of the balance is $114,578.12. At the end of the month, there were 6 outstanding checks totaling $1,278.72. Moving on to,
It's not ECA.
okay, yeah, this is, those were numbers taken off of the bank statement for ECA.
Second line,
And then we had 2 payrolls since the last meeting. The first payroll was on November 21st. The total of that payroll was $59,598.24. The second payroll was December 5th, totaling $59,879.50 for a total payroll claims that's here available for signatures, totaling $119,477.80. And then we have the AP docket, and this is this document includes transactions from the day after the last meeting in November 20th through today. The total docket is for $125,493.48. As I've been trying to do, I've been pointing out maybe some larger figures, some vendors that aren't typically on the list or things that, are just kind of anomalies. The first one I wanted to point out was there is a payment in the amount of $1,213.34 to Walmart Business / Trevi Pay. I just wanted to explain that the old Walmart card that we used, the partnership dissolved between Walmart and Capital One, so they started a different program. So this is simply a different program. We're still using a P card over there. Everything comes in, same receipts, blah, 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 blah. It's just a different vendor that we're paying at this point. The second item that I wanted to highlight is the Honeywell Foundation. This is the every 9 weeks we pay them for the Eagles program, graphic design, $11,000. So that's included in this docket. The third one is for TM Wells. He is our asset valuation provider, the vendor that does all of our depreciation and whatnot that we have to include on the financial report, the July through June financial report. The fee for this year is $1,000. consistent with the last few years. So that's on here. And then Tailored Systems. This is the organization that we used, I believe they're out of Indianapolis. That we got the high-tech fancy cameras and the door access system. And for the 25-26 school safety grant is funding this payment in the amount of $6,793.04. Now, John, I don't know if you wanted to give any further explanation on what that $6,700 was.
We ended up buying 4 cameras and, trying to think, that was about it that we had on that grant. Part of it was we wanted the camera out in the, ABC building because we had no cameras out there at all. We had almost 25 students out there and we wanted to make sure we got the coverage that way, so we added a camera out there. We added some spots and some holes, especially in diesel and in auto service. We really didn't have good coverage, so we added some cameras there. We also Floyd and I walked through the building with their people, and we determined that we're going to probably next Monday and Tuesday, we're gonna move some of the cameras we have, so we have better coverage in some spots. The downside is, because of the money that we had available to us, because a lot of that grant was written for lighting outside, and the state safety grant would not cover lighting, which makes no sense to me, but they won't. So, we ended up pulling that off, but that was the bulk of the funds for the grant. So we ended up buying as much as we could camera-wise, but we're gonna have to do the install, which our kids we can pull the wires and we'll the kids will put the wire ends on. I mean, we could pay them to do it, but then I get less cameras, so we're gonna try to do it this way. This is really, we're only installing.
It's really just what's the play.
We're only installing 4 cameras.
Do you pull a permit on that and have that inspected? No.
We don't have to, they don't even have to have a permit to put it in. Cause it's low voltage wire, it's all
It's Ethernet cable.
It's Ethernet, so they're not pulling the hose or
They just run power over Ethernet.
anything. So,
Pretty simple.
We can do it.
So, any other questions on any of the financials?
If there's no questions, is there a motion to approve?
Second.
Been moved to second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Down to donations.
we have none this month.
Amen.
Oh, it's good and bad.
Good and bad. I think it's gonna be the first month we've never.
There's no.
There's not, nope. We can pull the next one up.
The Heartland calendar?
So we have to, before we do ours, we have to get everybody else's. And when you talk about putting 5 school corporation calendars together, it can be kind of difficult. Sherry kind of did this, and then we kept coming up with an issue, and in all reality, it's become our issue because, I don't know if you know, but your schools, when we count your student days, there's supposed to be 180 student days. There's not one school corporation here that goes 180 student days. Because they go through the process with the state to ask for, I can't remember what it's called now. Huh? Yeah, and so they get some of those off. So I have one school that's literally going 178, one is going at 183, and so then we gotta figure out, okay, how do we get 180 days? You know, whatever that number is. And so, or 100, I should say, 176 and 172 or something like that's what people were doing. So we had to go through and do this. And it's usually, you know, winter break lines up most of the time. Spring break lines up with with 4 of the 5 school corporations. So a lot of it kind of lines up itself. The start of school for one school is earlier than the others. Maybe actually 2 of them are, and then the end of school is a little different for one school as well. That being said, we came up with something, we got it figured out. We will really have pretty much everybody, all the school corporations here on most of those days. There is 1 week during spring break, Peru will be out, we'll still be in session. And so they will be out that week, so we'll have the other 4 school corporations here. And then also, there was 1 day that we counted as part of our 180, because there was no other way around it. If we didn't do it, we'd be 179, we'd get to 180. And I think there's only 1 school corporation here that day. But it is what it is, we'll get done when we can get done and be okay. And so, but this is our calendar, for next year, and so I ask for your approval for the calendar. We will start teachers on the 7th, which is a Friday in August, and the students will start the 11th, and then we'll be done May 27th.
What's the triangle in the 19th of August? I'm just curious.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. So that's meet the teacher night,
Okay.
and then there's another one, it's in April, which is open house, for here. So, we also have college and career fairs, which I think are the blue ones, on there as well. A little smiley face, didn't know what else to put, is our senior certificate ceremony, because everybody's happy to graduate.
Did it on a Monday night, not Sunday.
Is that for
Just
Jack?
on Monday. So anyway, the red days are our days that we're not in school.
There's been a motion, is there a second? Been moved and seconded, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Copy.
So our copier and graphic design, which they use for all their printing and stuff like that, its lease was up. And so we've been working on trying to figure out what to do with that replacement. We got quotes from 3 different companies, Canon, Perry Protech, and Van Osdale, I think is what it's called. They were all close, and, you know, when they're all close, you gotta kind of sometimes go with, to me, the best person that's talking to you. And I feel like there was one person that talked to us and was pretty upfront from the beginning, and we appreciated that. We got one that really didn't answer us, and so they were the first one we contacted, because that's who we had another copier with. And when they wouldn't give us any information, it's like, what are we doing? You know, and so when you don't communicate with me on what we're trying to do, it's an automatic, why do I work with you? And so, that being said, we started getting quotes for that. And in that process, I'm like, okay, our copier in the office is gonna be done in April, that contract. And so is there a way that we can kind of meld these two together? Because right now, we have 2 with one company, which is graphic design, and the lounge. The lounge isn't up until 2028, so there's nothing we can really do for that one. And then the office is Perry Protech currently, and the other 2 are Canon, okay? And so we did this, went through this process. In the end, Van Osdale came back to us with better machines and kind of worked with us, and they're gonna actually end up taking over the copier in the office so that we can have them on the same contract at the same time frame for those 2 copiers instead of having 3 different contracts, which is what we currently do. And so it'll be on the same time frame. It is a little more expensive, but our machine is gonna be a little bigger, higher capacity, higher quality, and so in the end, it's a little more. It's roughly $100 for both machines more. Part of that comes out of graphic design with their CPF, because that's what covers their copier. But we have a 60-month lease, but we're getting the first 6 months basically free. And so we're not paying that for 6 months. And so it kind of works itself out to where, yeah, we're paying a little more, but long run, it's gonna be okay.
Collate, sign documents like that.
It will staple, it'll do a lot of stuff. Hers down there will actually do folding and stapling.
Yeah.
And so she can start doing this, and our plan is to have her work on creating booklets for us, so that we're not doing that. And, you know, her being her first year, she's got a lot going on, she's got a lot on her plate being her first year here, and so we're gonna work into that, but that's the plan. Because our students can then design that, create it, print it, and kind of use it as a print shop. And so, I guess my come to you is I'm asking for your approval to kind of move through that process and finalize that process with Van Osdale, so that we can get that going and get her copier in there right away, and then work on ours getting there, here hopefully in January.
What company?
Van Osdale, am I saying that right?
Emperor, they're based in Indy.
Okay. But the gentleman's really nice and coming by, I know he's a salesman, he's trying to sell it to us. But he's the only one that's really kept in touch over this period of time.
You know, I just said, I mean, we use Protac, and we've never had a problem with them, but a lot of it, when there is a problem, I can't work on, nobody in my office can work on that, so who do you call, and what is their service?
And so so,
the salesperson is not going to do that.
and I'll be flat out honest with you, when we asked for something from them, they came back with a quote that was really high, and it wasn't what we wanted or needed. And she specifically asked for certain things, and it was way up here, it's like, we don't need this,
You know,
we need this, we need to be near this price tag, and we never got any answers back. And he finally emailed us back just this last week,
yeah.
and it's like, that's too late now.
I agree.
I'm not doing that, this is a month later, like, we've been doing this for a while, so, yeah. So again, I'm asking for your permission to move forward and work on a contract with Van Osdale, for the copiers in the office and graphic design.
You've heard the recommendation, is there a motion? Is there a second? Is there any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
I,
Those opposed? Motion passes. Donwood Foundation Career Readiness Grant.
Okay, so, you would know Donwood Foundation. I don't know if Darren would or not. So, to set the tone lightly, this was who we were working with on the grant for our building. The addition that kind of fell through, okay? I don't, no fault of whoever, I guess you could say fault is, but anyway, talking with them, they are a large supporter of CTE, and they have a new grant coming out, and it's the Career Readiness Grant. And there's phases to this. There's 3 phases. One is the letter of intent to say, hey, you know what, we're interested in applying for this grant. And then you have the planning grant process, which is a year, and that planning grant can be between $100,000 and $200,000. And this is where you kind of figure out what you're gonna do for that grant.
planning grant.
Planning grant, yes. And then from there, you have the implementation process, and over a 4 to 5 year period, there can be $1 million in there.
All from Donwood.
All from Donwood. Okay? We have been, I sat with the lady from Donwood in a one-on-one conversation, talking about this and possibilities for this. This is not for building. This is not necessarily for equipment. This is for programming and kind of coming up with things that we can do to better prepare our students to be ready for the next gen manufacturing. Okay, and so things like that would be, one, career coaching. Like, how can we provide more career coaching for our students? Because right now, we're very limited on it. We have our teachers that do some of that. We have Mrs. Heckathorn and Mr. Evans that help with that, but we honestly don't offer enough, okay? There's not enough time in the day for the teachers to do all of that and then to do that and meet with their students. Mrs. Heckathorn, their senior year, she meets with them at least, I believe, twice throughout the year. And so that's the extent that we can kind of get. The schools have to do their own part as well, but we need to provide a little more support there and to help them out with that, so that can be a part of that. The other thing is one of the things we lack in general in this area is apprenticeships. We don't have a whole lot of apprenticeships in a lot of our programs. We have the ABC program, yes. But can we create more, can we do more with that? And have conversations with local businesses to say, hey, and that can be a part of that planning grant process, to work through that, work with those companies and say, is this something we can do? How do we do it? Let's plan for it. And then those next 4 to 5 years, set that program up to succeed. That's what this grant's for mainly. You can use it to purchase some things here and there, but it's mainly to support the program and provide the path for it, not necessarily equipment. Can you buy equipment with it? Yes, but that's not what the majority of this is for.
My question is, how deep are the fingers of Rural Wabash County and Community Foundation are in this?
So I'm
That's the
gonna be
problem. It's not Donwood.
I'm gonna be
It's
flat
these
out
people
honest.
down here.
I'm flat out honest. So I had this conversation with them. Rural Wabash County came to me and said, hey, I think this is a great thing for you guys to do, and if we can help, we'll help. And I do trust them down there. I've had lots of conversations with Niels Ardman and Chelsea Parsons, who's been here, and so forth. And then it kind of maneuvered a little bit, and it became more of a whole county-wide thing. And so then it became, Heartland, Wabash City Schools, Manchester, MSD, Grow Wabash, and then the Community Foundation's got involved as well. And so I've only had a couple of virtual meetings at this point, to talk about this and discuss this with all the faces of the superintendents, and Community Foundations of Grow Wabash County. Currently, there's nothing that's set in stone that we're doing this. The only thing that I'm asking is to be able to look into it, kind of see what we can do with it, what is out there. I will tell you right now, I know that Wabash City Schools is gonna apply for it, no matter what, on their own, if anything. There's no collaboration between the rest of us. Do I think there's some things here, yes, that we can use? It's a lot of money. I'm not a person who wants to go out and just find the money for something and not have a complete plan for it. I wanna know what we're gonna do with it and have a very good idea of what we're gonna do with it before I even move forward. And so I wanna look into it more. And so I'm just asking to say, hey, can we do this? I will bring it back to you in January, because at that point, there's a letter of intent due at the beginning of February to say, hey, we're interested in doing this. That doesn't mean you get it. It doesn't mean that it's gonna happen. It's a matter of saying, hey, we're interested. This is our intent to apply for this planning grant, and we apply for the planning grant. And then from there, if things go well, we move forward, we get into the third phase and do the implementation.
So we would be applying on our own, or?
I don't know that yet.
Consortium of-
I don't know that yet. I will tell you that, talking to Don Wood, they're going to look at people who are collaborating together first before they look at it individually. And so, one of the things I've said is with the group is that, yeah, I think this is a great idea. I need to know more about it, one, but two, I also know Wabash is applying for it. If we both apply for it, one of us is getting hurt. Okay? And I don't want to cause problems when we don't have a definite plan on what we're gonna do first. They do have a plan. They know what they're doing with it, already. And so, a lot of the money can be used to cover salaries, for some of those positions. Career coaches set up meetings with, businesses to work on apprenticeships and so forth. Find that person that's gonna be, could be overseeing all the work-based learning, not just here, but in general. And have that one contact for all the schools. So, there could be, again, these are all ideas. Nothing's set in stone, and I just wanna be able to ask you to say, hey, is it okay if I kind of look back into this and get back with you in January before we make a decision on applying? Or I should say, putting in a letter of intent.
I don't have a problem talking to Don Wood, but while you're doing that, I would ask Community Foundation where the other 500,000 is that we raised last time. Because we raised $1 million. Don Wood took their 500,000 back.
Yep.
The other people are still sitting on 500,000.
They used part of that money for the current Learn More Center, I believe.
So I'd like some of that cash when that comes due. That's just me,
Yeah, no, I understand.
because
Well, in the interest of total transparency, my wife Judy works for the Community Foundation, so I wasn't, neither one of us were around for that.
I understand that. I know some other people that are on it that are not in there, and they're.
And I'm sorry if there were hard feelings, but I don't know.
You don't have to apologize.
Well, I'm going to, it's too bad. I think the purpose really is people of goodwill working together to meet a common goal. And it just seems to me, these foundations, it's not like they're that benevolent in a way. They have to give away so much money. And I've heard Don Wood speak several times a number of years ago, a good guy, and he would be very happy of funding projects like this. I really believe that. So in my mind, we should certainly explore submitting a letter of intent. And it would be great if we could do this in collaboration with Wabash and Manchester and the other systems. So there you go. I'll make that a motion.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay. ABC Construction.
So this is something I've talked with ABC about. Currently they're out in our cold storage facility, which is out in our pole barn, doing basically their construction work out there. Our current construction program is out on a site building a home. It's not something their ABC is doing this year. I think in the future, we do have plans to move forward with doing that, but on a smaller scale. But we've talked to them, and we think it might be a good idea, with your blessing to kind of look into it, is we have that cold storage out there. We can turn that into a classroom. And they are willing to use our kids to get that experience and build that into a classroom/lab out there. And I think it's a great opportunity for the kids. I think it's a great opportunity for us to be able to add some space for us to use in a better way, because right now it's currently ground up asphalt out there, gravel is the base
Inside.
inside,
It's not concrete.
not concrete.
On the left side of the main door is, on the right side is, the double
Yes.
doors to the right are not on the
Yes.
cold storage.
It's pole barn, it's what it is.
Insulated.
So it's gotta be
No
insulated, it's
insulation
gotta be
inside.
concrete, you gotta put up, if you're gonna use drywall, whatever it may be, you gotta put in ceiling, so forth. Someone said bathroom, right? When it comes to, facilities out there like that would be great. We would have to do one of two things. We would have to connect to the road, for our wastewater, or connect to our building we currently have, which will be underground. And currently, like I stated, our drainage here is not the greatest already. And by adding that, it may not be a good idea. And it would cost quite a bit of money
That costs a lot.
to connect.
It's
To the
gonna
wastewater.
cost us a lot of money.
And so,
25 probably.
would that be great? Yes. I would love to be able to do the bathrooms and stuff like that. But at this point, I think it's something where we just look to try to, finish the inside and create a classroom and a lab. And at the same time, we talked to them too, we have concrete work that we need done around here. And if you go to the south side of the building, we have a concrete pad out there, which is kind of a gathering area for our students in the middle of the day when they're loading and unloading for the buses. It's not in good shape. There's actually a couple spots where I believe some trees used to grow that aren't there anymore, so they're just mud. And so it's cracked, it's damaged, it's served its time. And they may be willing to do the same thing where we kind of step it off and they can redo part of it. I'm asking your permission to say, hey, why don't we let them quote it out, what it would cost for materials for them to do it, and see what we got. Because we do have, from, I think it was 2 years ago, John Park Memorial, where he passed away and his money came to us, it was $320,000. I think that money could be used to help with that. He was a construction guy who was all for the construction trades. And so if our kids in construction trades can do that and help us out, I think that would be great. And so I'm asking your permission to kind of come up and let them go out and kind of, let the kids quote it and see what we come up with and what it costs.
It's a learning process for the kids too, to
Yeah.
get the costs.
I agree. So that's what I'm asking.
You've heard the recommendation, is there a motion?
So,
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those, more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes.
Just a general question, do you have any ballpark estimate?
I don't want to go, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. How big did that area out there do you think it is?
2 square feet.
What is the size of the building?
You think it's
I'm
40 by,
guessing you're looking at
30?
is the whole building 40 by 120?
It's bigger than
The building's
Let's go out and measure.
that. It's,
if you guys want to go out and look at it, we'll show it to you.
Well, and if you pour
but-
4 inches or 6, I mean, to me, it makes sense if you're gonna pour
Well,
6.
Yes, yeah, and I guess that's where I'm gonna go. We're gonna do it, let's
Do it right.
top notch.
Yeah.
Let's.
Well, you're gonna put buses, you got semis that can
Right.
be in there, you better
Yeah,
pour
let's do
6.
that.
But if it's gonna be a lab classroom, we're not doing that.
But that's why I mentioned the bathrooms, because now if you got it torn up, put that piece in there.
Yeah, put those in.
Because then potentially, you have
Oh,
two
you
bathrooms out there.
There is actually floor drains in there for that are not connected to anything. You could put them in, but not be used.
So,
Yeah, blueprints for this building anywhere?
Probably.
Ooh, I don't know about that.
I'm not sure, I don't know if I've ever seen prints on that building. I'll be
It's
honest.
literally a
Matt, were you on when that got put in?
Yeah,
But we built it, didn't we?
Croft Construction put it up.
Oh,
They may have it. I mean, they may
Well,
have those.
And that was crazy because you couldn't use, because it was to be used as a school, they could not use students to build it.
Right.
So they had to hire some clown that sat around. They got $30,000 to $40,000 to watch Croft put it up
Yeah.
from the state. And I just thought, God, that's stupid. Because Croft knew what he was doing, that's why you hired him, but you got this clown that sat there in a chair.
Well, that's what I wonder with this, is how much are we going to, do we have to go that route? I don't know. I mean, it's worth
I would do
exploring.
it and ask permission later.
Well, it's inside, it's
Inside. The building's
It's in
inside.
the existing building. It's a renovation, not a construction.
You still have full permits though.
Yes, that we can do,
Mm-hmm.
but. Okay, but like,
Exciting.
no, I think it'll be fine.
I think it'd be great for kids to do that.
well, and I know from my standpoint, Lloyd probably as well, when your students do projects on your facility, they always walk behind you, I did that.
Yep.
Well, it's a pride for them, it's huge for us.
Well, just going out and looking at the last bill that your daughter and son-in-law's, I mean, that's just the thing that blew my mind, down in the basement, this young person with his parents showing, I did this, and how excited that young man was.
Yeah.
To show his parents, and he wasn't the only one.
Yeah, there were several of them went through there. That was fun to watch.
I do have answers. It is a surgical bone shaping tool
Oh.
that has interchangeable heads that go on the handle, so that's the.
Oh, you're not talking about the building.
I'm not talking about the building, but that goes for a metal or a bone shaping tool. So it's probably like a rasp that would fit in there. So.
It makes you kind of.
That's right, that's what it is. So we'll get that hit, whatever. Just telling you.
Next time you have to have a knee surgery, you go, hey, did Heartland make that?
I asked for a surgery because my brother used to work at Zimmer, and I said, could you send me a surgery because you don't want one? You don't want to see it and show it to me.
Yeah.
So now you know the answers, there you go.
Is there any-
It's pretty nice.
Is there anything else? Any questions for anybody? Is there a motion to adjourn? Move to second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Reminder, there's signatures down there, need done, and that.
These specs, so they lost one. Stolen. In stream,
Something for you, right?
end.